Well, that was a really weird way to start. All right. What's up, YouTube? Welcome to Jefferson Reads the Newspaper. We are not sponsored by Breathe Right Nasal Strips. Breathe through your nose, you fucking idiot. We are not sponsored by Juul. Breathe through your mouth, you fucking idiot. And we are also presented by Saturaveritas. I'm co-CEO of Saturaveritas. I hope you've been seeing the opt-out messages we're sending out. Basically, if you want to opt out of Saturaveritas, you need to wear blue light filtering glasses. Once we launch, you're going to be receiving our product whether you like it or not. And so if you don't want to receive our product, or if you don't want to be a user of our product, I guess would be the correct way. It's free. It's free for the users. Everyone will be using it, and it should make you a little happier, for the most part. Over time, your happiness will grow by using Saturaveritas' consumer product. But if you want to show your support for the company, you can use some purple nail polish and just paint your ring finger purple. If you don't paint your nails, just paint your ring finger. If you do paint your nails, just make sure your ring finger is purple. That's just kind of to show you that you support Saturaveritas and you support our corporate mission, which is pay us. And so yeah, if you want to be a super fan, purple nail polish. I'll actually do it now. We'll see how hard it is to read the newspaper while your nails are wet. I don't know if this is going to work out well. Whoa. It's actually kind of hard to paint your nails. Oof. Jesus. I think I got it all over the place. How do you do this? This is a very difficult thing. Especially the hand that's not your dominant hand. Boom. All right. Purple. So anyway, obviously as co-CEO of Saturaveritas, I am a very much big supporter of my own company. Or I guess I'm part owner of it. I don't own the whole thing. In any event, yeah, purple ring fingers. It's going to be a thing if you like emotional amplitude manipulation. So now let's read the newspaper. What's on the back here? Purdue Pharma. Check out my Purdue Pharma video. Or I guess it's about opiates. Not an opiate advertisement. It's in my shit. All right. Judge exonerates Flynn, delays sentences. Jurist disappoints Mueller foes with a lecture on the rule of law. For a full 8 minutes, U.S. District Judge Emmett G. Sullivan read aloud an inventory of Mr. Flynn's lies, describing his disgust that President Trump's national security advisor sought to deceive FBI agents while on the premises of the White House. Flynn, a retired general who is the highest-ranking Trump aide to plead guilty as part of the special counsel investigation, listened tensely, his face tight, as the judge ticked through his misdeeds. This was not how Flynn's supporters or Trump thought Tuesday's sentencing hearing would unfold. They had pinned their hopes on Sullivan, an independent-minded jurist with a history of ferreting out prosecutorial misconduct, as one who would reveal overreach by special counsel Robert S. Mueller III and the FBI. Interesting. So Trump and all the people that don't like Mueller thought that because this guy had often talked about prosecutorial misconduct in the past, that he would just be like, yeah, whatever. Mueller's an idiot, blah, blah, blah. But he didn't. Instead, he went the opposite way. Some Flynn allies even speculated the judge might toss out Flynn's guilty plea and clear his name. Instead, the 71-year-old veteran jurist used his platform to puncture conspiracy theories that paint Flynn as a victim of the deep state persecution, and he reminded the country of a Few simple creeds commonly held in courthouses. Emmett G. Sullivan is known for enforcing a rule that prosecutors must disclose exculpatory evidence. He lives by a few simple creeds commonly held in courthouses, but increasingly dismissed by the president's allies. Lying to the FBI is against the law. Breaking the law is bad. People who work in the White House are supposed to be held to a higher standard. Hey, I agree with that shit. This is a very serious offense, Sullivan told Flynn. Even after Mueller's prosecutors told the judge they agreed that Flynn should face little to no incarceration because he cooperated with their investigation. The judge pointed to the American flag behind his bench and told the decorated combat veteran that he had undermined it. Arguably, you sold your country out. Fucking A, Emmett. Fucking A. Cheers. I agree with that. Oh, we are also not sponsored by Starbucks holiday cups. Declare war on the holidays. All holidays. There should be no holidays. We need more people working constantly for little to no pay. That's what this world needs. So, no more holidays. Constant work, please. The judge pointed to the American flag behind his bench and told blah blah. Arguably, you sold your country out. Yeah. I don't understand why we're not charging these idiots with treason. Sullivan's angry lecture from the bench and a suggestion that he was willing to throw Flynn in jail injected a moment of high drama into the long-running investigation and served as a reminder of the seriousness of the allegations that launched the special counsel investigation. The move was in keeping with Sullivan's lack of tolerance for official misconduct, lawyers familiar with his court said. Judge Sullivan usually gives prosecutors a hard time, not because they've necessarily done anything wrong, but because... Oh, fucking Johnson. I'm going to read this advertisement I just noticed next. Fucking ADD. What am I doing? Judge Sullivan usually gives prosecutors a hard time, not because they've necessarily done anything wrong, but because he holds the government to a very high standard, said Glenn Kirshner, a former federal prosecutor who has often appeared before Sullivan. But today it played out to the disadvantage of the defendant. And why? The defendant was a high-ranking government official who engaged in egregious conduct, and Judge Sullivan turned his wrath on the defendant. Sullivan also expressed frustration about the lack of information about what Flynn has given Mueller's team, although the special counsel earlier this month credited the former National Security Advisor with providing substantial assistance on his probe and another criminal investigation. The judge said Tuesday that it was nearly impossible to render a fair decision on Flynn's sentencing without knowing the details of his cooperation. At one point, Sullivan accused Flynn of acting as an unregistered agent of a foreign country while serving as the National Security Advisor to the President of the United States. After a recess, the judge apologized for the assertion, acknowledging that lobbying work Flynn did to benefit Turkey ended before he joined the Trump administration. Sullivan, the longest-serving active federal judge in the U.S. District Court in Washington, was first appointed to the local D.C. Superior Court by President Ronald Reagan in 1984. He's appointed by fucking Reagan! Fucking Trumpies. Ugh. Sorry. I've been fighting this fucking anti-conspiracy Trumpies for a while. And anyway. He was named to the D.C. Appeals Court by George H.W. Bush and appointed to the federal bench by President Bill Clinton. The product of Houston and Gardner, a storied Washington civil rights law firm, Sullivan is best known for his robust enforcement of the rule that prosecutors must disclose any evidence that could help defendants establish their innocence. Defense attorneys have given him the nickname Brady, a reference to the Supreme Court ruling requiring disclosure of such exculpatory material. In 2009, Sullivan overturned the bribery conviction of former Senator Ted Stevens, R. Alaska, after it was discovered that FBI agents and prosecutors had improperly withheld that their key witnesses against him had given differing accounts. Before the 2016 election, Sullivan had criticized Democratic candidate Hillary Clinton's use of a private email address while Secretary of State at one point during a public records lawsuit decrying drip, 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 drip revelations about his email use. When does it stop, he wondered. He criticized Hillary Clinton's use of her private emails. That's funny. So this is a guy that's like, what about her emails too, and he still is fucking thinks that Trump's cronies' conduct is disgusting. So Trump allies were cheered when Sullivan last week ordered Flynn's lawyers and Mueller's team to turn over FBI records detailing agents' interviews with Flynn in January 2017. His demand came a day after Flynn's attorney argued their client deserved no prison time, stressing in a court filing that he had been unguarded when telling FBI agents about his conversations with the Russian ambassador during the presidential transition. Some Flynn allies, including the president, speculated that the judge was probing possible FBI misconduct. I think it's great that the judge is looking into the situation, Trump told reporters. The president tweeted good luck to Flynn early Tuesday. On Fox News, Trump ally and former judge Jeanine Pirro predicted Sullivan would throw out Flynn's conviction. Yes. Fucking Sullivan. Emmett G. Sullivan. Cheers, buddy. You fucking killed it. You made them all think that, well, maybe you're just acting as people should with fucking morals. The Wall Street Journal published an editorial alleging that the FBI treatment of Flynn reeks of entrapment and calling on Sullivan to question the entire plea deal. Sullivan did, but not the way they expected. On Tuesday, nearly a dozen members of Mueller's team showed up at the downtown Washington courtroom for the hearing, filling the front bench. Flynn, wearing a blue suit, was flanked by his two attorneys. Sullivan quickly indicated that he was offended by Flynn's suggestion that he was misled by FBI. Hold on, I want to read this again. On Tuesday, nearly a dozen members of Mueller's team showed up at the downtown Washington courtroom for the hearing, filling the front bench. Flynn, wearing a blue suit, was flanked by his two attorneys. Sullivan quickly indicated that he was offended by Flynn's suggestion that he was misled by FBI agents, and he said it appeared that the former National Security Advisor was trying to have it both ways, to take a generous plea deal even as he telegraphed that he might have been entrapped. Sullivan said the FBI records, many of which the judge forced to be publicly disclosed in recent days, showed Flynn had repeatedly lied to agents despite knowing it was a crime to do so. You understand why I was concerned, the judge told Flynn's attorney Robert Kellner. This sounds like a backpedaling on the acceptance of responsibility. Fuck yes. Kellner told the judge that he and co-counsel Stephen Anthony were trying to show in their filings how Flynn was different from others who have admitted lying to special counsel investigators, not noting that agents did not warn him he was under investigation and that he did not have an attorney advising him. But Sullivan rejected that argument, saying Flynn should be held to a higher standard. Fucking yeah, yes he should. He's a fucking national security advisor. Why wouldn't he be held to a higher standard? There's this fucking idea that people can be experts, aka national security advisor, but also not know that lying to the FBI is a crime. Fucking Trumpies and Fox News, figure it out. Choose one, because it can't be both. You can't be both an idiot and a genius. So figure out who Trump is. My thought is he's an idiot. If you think he's a genius, then he can't also not know anything. You fucking retards. Jesus fucking Christ. I'm sorry for saying the R word. But I meant it as an insult to Trumpies, not to anybody else. Alright, I shouldn't lose my temper. Alright. Jewel, when you lose your temper. But Sullivan rejected that argument, saying Flynn should be held to a higher standard. Conner told the judge that he and co-counsel Stephen Anthony were trying to show in their filings how Flynn was different from others who had admitted lying to special counsel investigators, not noting that agents did not warn him he was under investigation and that he did not have an attorney advising him. He was a high-ranking government official advising the President of the United States, Sullivan said. I'm not hiding my disgust, my disdain for this criminal offense. Sullivan also demanded to know from prosecutor Brandon Van Grack whether Flynn could have been charged with treason. Thank the Lord. Somebody is saying the word treason because this is treason. Why are we calling it collusion? It's not collusion, it's treason. Van Grack appeared to try to not that I believe in nations or borders, but if we're going to have a nation with borders, treason is a thing. Van Grack appeared to try to sidestep the question. He apologized to the judge, saying he didn't want to misspeak about the case, but that he believed the most he could say was that the special counsel did not consider such a charge based on the evidence the government had at the time. What a great fucking answer. I really hope this Trump ship goes down rather than devolves into fascism, because I am going to get so much schadenfreude and pleasure out of watching these idiots go to jail. Prison, I mean. Jail and prison are different. I didn't know that until recently. Later, Van Grack told the judge that prosecutors did not believe Flynn committed treason. Nevertheless, Sullivan warned Flynn that he believed Mueller's recommendation that Flynn serve little to no prison time was probably too kind. I can't promise you a sentence that involves no jail time, the judge said. After a 30-minute recess to confer with his lawyers, Flynn agreed to delay sentencing until a later date when prosecutors presumably could reveal more about the nature of his cooperation. Sullivan ended the tense hearing with a status conference set for March. At day's end, the judge issued one last shot at Flynn, ensuring that he understood he will be treated like all other defendants. Noting that there has been no restrictions on Flynn's travel, Sullivan wrote in an order that beginning January 4 that former general will no longer be allowed to travel more than 50 miles outside Washington without permission. He will also have to surrender his passport. Hell yeah, bitch. Fuck off, Flynn. All right, there's another Flynn article. I'm going to read both of them because finally somebody is talking about the word treason, which I've been trying to talk about for a while. Ex-Trump aide forced to reiterate his claims, warned of prison time. Excuse me. A federal judge by Spencer S. Sue, Matt Zapotowski, and Carol D. Leonig. A federal judge on Tuesday postponed the sentencing for Michael Flynn after he lambasted President Trump's former national security advisor for trying to undermine the country and warning he might not spare Flynn from prison. The stunning development means that special counsel Robert S. Mueller III's engagement with Flynn will continue for some month, leaving Flynn to wonder whether he will lose his freedom. Flynn's attorney requested the delay after the judge's opinion became apparent, hoping further cooperation with law enforcement would earn the court's mercy. From the start, U.S. District Judge Emmett G. Sullivan made clear he was infuriated by Flynn's conduct, both in lying to the FBI while in the White House and in working to advance the interest of Turkish government while he was part of Trump's campaign. The judge seemed to take particular umbrage at the suggestion made by Flynn and his supporters just before the sentencing that he had been duped by the FBI. Early in the hearing, Sullivan forced Flynn to admit publicly that he knew lying to the Bureau was illegal and that he was guilty of a crime. Later, the judge pointed to the American flag in his D.C. courtroom as he berated the three-star general for his misdeeds. This is like the exact same article twice, but I'm so happy I'm reading it twice. Arguably, that undermines everything this flag over here stands for. the judge said. Arguably, you sold your country out. Fucking A. Flynn, standing straight and flanked by attorneys, looked shaken, his jaw clenched. Flynn pleaded guilty in Mueller's probe of Russian interference in the 2016 election more than a year ago, admitting that he lied to the FBI about conversations with Russia's ambassador to the United States and that he misrepresented the Justice Department documents his work to advance the interests of the Turkish government. He has since been assisting with at least 3 investigations, including Mueller's, and his attorneys and the special counsel argued he should get no prison time based on his cooperation. That now is far from a certainty. Sullivan opened the hearing Tuesday by taking aim at the suggestion in a pre-sentence filing by Flynn's attorney that their client might have been fooled into lying to the FBI. Flynn's supporters have advanced the notion in recent months that the FBI should have approached Flynn more formally and that he should have been warned in advance that lying to federal agents is a crime. Even after the hearing, White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders said the FBI had ambushed Flynn. Fucking motherfuckers. The special counsel's office had earlier rejected the allegation. Nothing about the way the interview was arranged or conducted caused the defendant to make false statements to the FBI, prosecutors wrote. Sullivan seemed to take up their case. The judge reminded Flynn he could get into more trouble if he were to lie in court, then asked, "Were you not aware that lying to FBI investigators was a federal crime?" "I was aware," Flynn said. Sullivan asked if Flynn wanted to postpone the sentencing or reconsider his plea. "I would like to proceed, Your Honor." "Because you are guilty of this offense," Sullivan responded. "Yes, Your Honor." His lawyer, Robert Kellner, later took responsibility for the suggestion in the court filing. That Flynn would like to proceed is no surprise. A day earlier, the special counsel's office had filed with Sullivan the FBI notes of the interview with Flynn, which reinforced the notion he had lied. The documents showed Flynn claimed he was unaware of Obama-era sanctions announced as punishment for Russia's interference in the 2016 election because he had been on vacation in the Dominican Republic and did not have access to television news. Wow, that's a long sentence. In fact, Flynn had called a senior transition official to discuss what he should say to Russia's ambassador about the sanctions, and he followed up later to report the upshot of the conversation with the ambassador according to his plea agreement. The lies, which prosecutors said Flynn repeated to Vice President Pence and the Washington Post, among others, ultimately cost Flynn his job as National Security Advisor. Flynn said as part of his plea that in talking to the ambassador, he was acting in consultation with senior Trump transition officials, including Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner. No evidence has publicly emerged, however, indicating that they told him to lie to investigators. It doesn't matter, though. Looks nice, huh? If Flynn has tried to withdraw his guilty plea, the special counsel's office might have been able to bring new charges, or at least take back his recommendation that he face no prison time because he had cooperated and accepted responsibility. But even as Flynn's reconfirmed his admission of guilt, Sullivan gave no quarter. Good use of quarter. At one point, the judge accused Flynn. Let's see. Maybe I should read like this so you can see my face. I do have a beautiful face, I know. He issued Flynn a warning and asked if he might like to postpone the sentencing so he could keep cooperating with the special counsel's office. "I cannot assure you, if you proceed today, that you will not receive a sentence of incarceration," Sullivan said. Before the proceeding began, Trump had tweeted to wish Flynn good luck today in court. "Will be interesting to see what he has to say, despite tremendous pressure being put on him about Russia collusion in our great and obviously highly successful political campaign," Trump wrote. "There was no collusion." For its part, the special counsel's office stood by its recommendation that Flynn should face a sentence on the low end of the federal sentencing guidelines, which called for him to spend 0 to 6 months in prison. But they seemed to offer a less than full-throated defense of Flynn. When the judge asked if Flynn could be charged with treason, "It's such a serious question." Brandon Van Grax responded, "It's such a serious question, I'm hesitant to answer it." He clarified later that the government had no reason to believe the defendant committed treason and no concerns with respect to the issue of treason. When the judge asked if Flynn was still cooperating with the government, Van Grack answered, "It remains a possibility." Kellner ultimately asked for the postponement so Flynn could eke out the last modicum of consideration. Sullivan asked for a status report in 90 days, though he said he was not making any promises, that he would view the matter differently then. Kellner reiterated that Flynn had cooperated extensively, asserting that he had held nothing back. He did understand, as a 3-star general and former national security advisor, what he did was going to be very consequential for the special counsel's investigation and very consequential for the nation, Kellner said. And then he made the decision publicly and clearly and completely and utterly to cooperate with this investigation, knowing that because of his high rank, that he was going to send a signal to every other potential cooperator and witness in this investigation. It is not clear what else Flynn might be able to offer to the special counsel's office or other investigations. Van Grack, Alexa, stop. Van Grack of the special counsel's office said the government moved to sentence Flynn now because the vast majority of his cooperation was complete. On Monday, prosecutors in the Eastern District of Virginia charged 2 of Flynn's associates with acting as agents of a foreign government and detailed how the trio had worked during Trump's campaign to persuade the United States to expel a rival of Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Kellner said he believed that the case was the only area in which there was anything left to give. Van Grack said Tuesday that Flynn assisted and could have been charged in the matter. The defendant provided substantial assistance to the attorneys in the Eastern District of Virginia in obtaining that charging document. Very interesting. Just noticed that. All right, well, I gotta go get my laundry, so yeah, saturaveritas, get some blue light filter glasses, or you're in. That's how it works. Paint your nails if you really like it. Talk to y'all later.